You're watching the award-winning GHS-TV, a nationally recognized student television station.
Hello, and welcome to this week's edition of GHS-TV's award-winning talk show, Crosstalk. I'm your host, Maggie Lathem. Each week in this time slot, we take a look at different issues, personalities, and events that affect you and our community. The Germantown Charity Horse Show is back for its 69th year and to start a great summer. Today, we will learn what all goes into making this show a success. We will hear from horse trainers, staff, and past winners who have worked continuously for almost 7 decades to keep this show a success. Later in the show, we will talk with Olympic equestrian Melanie Smith-Taylor. But first, I had the chance to speak with the president of the Germantown Charity Horse Show, Mrs. Virginia Walker. Ms. Walker, thank you so much for being on our show today.
Well, thank you so much for coming out, and y'all picked the best day. The weather is perfect and everything's in good shape.
Yes, ma'am. Well, the Germantown Charity Horse Show has been running a long time. It's one of the longest running events in Germantown. How has it changed or evolved over the past 70 years?
Well, we've always been a multi-breed show, but we've added new horses and new divisions through the years. It started out at the Germantown High School football field, and it started as a hunter's pace, and then they added a lot of saddlebreds that were in the area. And then since then, we've added Pasafinos, and we've added the Gypsy Vanners. It just keeps growing every year.
Well, the charity aspect of the horse show hasn't always been a part of it. How and when did this aspect of the show begin?
Actually, after the first year of the show, they decided that it was such a big success, they wanted to have a benefactor. So they had the Home for the Incurables was the very first charity. And ever since then, they've added it on. The Germantown Charity Horse Show is actually a 501c3 as well, but our profits go to a local charity to support the community.
You slightly touched on what some of the charities you support, but what other charities do you support?
Well, our primary one is the Exchange Club Family Center of Memphis. It is an amazing organization. We've been working with them for almost 20 years now. They primarily stop the cycle of abuse. Not just helping people that suffer from abuse or addiction, but the family, so to stop the cycle. And before that, we've worked with Le Bonheur Club, Junior League, many different organizations supporting in the community.
Well, you are coming up on your 70th anniversary. Are you planning any special occasions to mark this event?
We are. We are going to, we've had big events before for our other anniversaries. I don't want to give too much away, but the 70th is going to be huge.
Well, putting on a horse show of this size is a massive undertaking. Is it a year-round job?
It is a year-round job. Our organization is 100% volunteers. So we all have other jobs, but we love Germantown, and we love the community, and we love the association, and we love the traditions. So we all work hard 12 months out of the year to make this happen.
Can you touch on some of the specific preparation that goes into making this show such a success every year?
Well, with the evolution of social media, we've created new jobs and divisions. Of course, we have a big Facebook presence now, and we're developing our website every year, trying to make it more user friendly. But beyond that, everyday jobs that have to be done: ticket sales, people take up tickets, and then we have their T-shirt shop, which has evolved into a complete gift line now. So there's so many different touches, but the one thing that we really strive is to have great hospitality for our spectators, hospitality for our sponsors, and definitely great hospitality for our exhibitors.
There are many local vendors and sponsors that take part in the Germantown Charity Horse Show. How do you decide which ones participate?
We want people that are close to home, that understand the importance of our tradition, and anybody that really is in the community that wants to be involved.
The horse show is always a success. What do you think attracts people to attend year after year?
You know, we have exhibitors and spectators that are third and fourth generation. So it's in the family, it's in the blood. And even if you're new to the area, so many people will come that first year and they become addicted and then they come back. Last night, the priest from St. George's came to offer our invocation, and she took her an hour and a half to walk around the arena because it's like homecoming every year. You get to see so many people you don't get to see all year.
Well, Ms. Walker, how do you believe the horse show benefits the community?
Well, we have a great impact economically, of course, for Germantown and in Shelby County. And then also on top of that, we promote the Exchange Club and we keep Germantown on the map. I mean, we are a heritage show now, which is an elite status in the USEF world. So people will look and choose their schedule for showing all year. And then they'll pick the charity because of our heritage status.
Now let's reverse the question. How do you think the community benefits the horse show?
Well, I mean, we can't all be exhibitors. Most of us don't own horses. So the community is the lifeblood to make this show happen every year. We are the volunteers that, want to keep this piece of heritage alive.
Ms. Walker, you lightly touched on the economic impact of the horse show. Can you go into more detail about that?
Well, the vendors in the shops and the hotels and restaurants, their numbers are always greatly increased during the week in June, and it rivals, Christmas time shopping.
You previously mentioned it is now a heritage show. Can you go into detail about that?
There are a handful of shows around the nation that are older and established and have been around for a while, and so they get a heritage status with USEF, United States Equestrian Federation. It's an elite status. There are fewer than 30 in the nation. And on top of that, our show is so unique because we're a multi-breed show. Most horse shows are just Hunter Jumper or just Pasifino or just Gypsy Vanner. It's very rare you have all of them under the same roof in the same week.
Everyone has their favorite part of the horse show, so we have to ask, what is your favorite part of the horse show?
My favorite part starts on Sunday when we start decorating the ring. Seeing it all come together, that's my favorite part, is getting this week started.
Ms. Walker, thank you so much for joining us today, and good luck with the rest of the horse show.
Thank you so much for coming out today, and y'all come back and enjoy the rest of the week.
Thank you. Now let's take a look at some of the sights and sounds of the Germantown Charity Horse Show.
Please, all answer.
The Germantown Charity Horse Show is really one of the few remaining multi-breed shows in the nation.
My grandfather, Sonny Foster, he and multiple other people founded the show a long time ago.
It started in 1948, and this is our 69th year. We have 266 permanent stalls, and we have tents came in, put up. We got 324 of those put up. And we have about 600, about 700.
It's a beautiful, beautiful showgrounds. It's in a beautiful part of Tennessee.
It's one of the shows where people come from the entire area because there's people here from Missouri, there's people here from Texas.
You get a variety of different breeds. You get the feather breeds, you get the gaited breeds, and you get to see them at their cream of the crop coming to the top, and you get to see amateurs ride them and kids ride them as well as the professionals ride them.
The importance of the Germantown Charity Horse Show is that it maintains the history of Germantown, because Germantown was the horse community outside of Memphis. There's still lots of horses here, there's lots of history with the horses, and I think that it helps Germantown to maintain its identity.
As you can imagine, the athletes put in a lot of time training for a competition of this size. Joining me to talk about this process is a local horse rider and horse show competitor, Michael Tuckeruk. Thank you so much for being on our show today.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Well, you have a long history with the horse show. You've won the show 3 times and came in second in the Grand Prix last year. Can you tell me a little bit more about those wins?
Yeah, They were all on different horses, and the first time was about 12 years ago with my horse Lord Byron, and then I won it with Roger Rabbit, I think in 2011, and then actually again Lord Byron won in 2012, and then I retired him at the show. He's older now and doesn't compete, and I actually donated a trophy for the Grand Prix in honor of Lord Byron, because the show's very special to me, and it was a way to help remember the horse as well.
You have been involved with horse riding and teaching for quite some time now. What first drew you to the sport?
My mom. My family all rode. My older sisters rode, my younger brother still rides, and my mom, she was always going to the barn, going to horse shows, and I did a lot of other sports, but I tagged along, and it really became serious when I was about 12 or 13.
You were fortunate to train under Dutch legend Rolf Brill. Did he give you any advice or tips that you still apply to your teaching or training today?
Absolutely. He is a master at the flat work, which is, what you do in between the jumps. And that's so important to have the horse listening to you and responding to your cues and your aids the right way, so that when you get to the jumps, they do it properly.
Taking part in a charity horse show of this size requires a lot of time and dedication. How did you prepare for this year's show?
Well, it starts honestly months in advance, because there's some special classes at this show that I start thinking about which horses would be appropriate for which classes. And the horses that I have and that are competing here are athletes, and so you have to prime their season and their preparation for these important events, and this is obviously one of the most important ones of the year. So it starts months in advance and then continues in the weeks leading up to the show.
You own and operate Tuckerick Stables. What made you decide to venture out and start your own business?
Well, I've always kind of had an entrepreneurial spirit, and I've spent a good amount of time learning from a lot of other excellent people in the industry, but I just feel like it was time to go out on my own, and it's been a wonderful thing, and I love doing it. I'm based in Collierville right now, very close to Germantown, and I have to say I'm really very happy with my business and the barn, and it's something I hope to do for a long time.
Well, you will be competing again in the Grand Prix this year. How does actively competing help you be a better teacher to your students?
Well, I think it really helps me understand how the horses should be ridden, so that when I'm telling them what to do, I have felt what the horses are doing and hopefully know the right things to do and the wrong things that you shouldn't do. And then it's just a matter of having the student carry that on and do the right thing at the right time.
What advice would you give to someone who is interested in the horse riding sport?
Well, I think just come out to my barn, come out to any of the wonderful farms around Memphis, and see what it takes. It's not just riding. There's so much more that is involved in the horse world. They're living, breathing animals. It's not a tennis racket that you can just pick up and put down and put it away in the closet. It's a major commitment of time, effort, and certainly it can be expensive as well. So, if it's something that you want to do, you have to be able to take those on, and then it's a lot of work as well. So if it's something you want to do, be prepared for all that, but it can be extremely rewarding as well.
Well, everyone has their favorite part of the horse show, so we would like to know, what is your favorite part of the week?
Well, hopefully winning the Grand Prix will be my favorite part of the week, but I have a student that does carriage driving ponies, and so last year I got to do the carriage dog class with my little dog Alice, and I was a little bummed out. I didn't win the Grand Prix, I was second, and the carriage dog class was immediately following the Grand Prix, and my dog Alice won the carriage dog class, so that was for sure the highlight of last year.
Mr. Tucker, thank you so much for joining us, and good luck in this year's show.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Let's take another look at this year's horse show.
I had a childhood fascination for horses from as early as I can remember.
When I was about 5 years old, I used to sneak out of the house and jump on my sister's horse, and ever since then I've had this love affair with horses and have been riding all my life.
I've been riding Tennessee walking horses for about 40 years.
The sport of horse riding is very unique because they're living, breathing creatures that react off of your actions.
You have a partner that doesn't always want to agree with you, so you have a partner that outweighs you by 10 times.
If you're sweet and kind, they're so sweet and kind. And they teach you a lot about responsibilities and how people develop, not even young, but all people develop into better human beings.
It's a very friendly environment here.
The barns are really nice, and the way that they're placed makes it easy for people to meet one another and get to know one another and visit each other's horses.
The atmosphere at this Germantown Charity Horse Fair is electric. It is so exciting to come here and be able to do something worthy for others.
It just feels like a big happy family here.
Apparently that's his favorite part, but I don't know what he said.
Maggie Lathem. We are so excited to have with us now an equestrian legend. She won the team gold medal for show jumping at the 1984 Los Angeles Olympics. Melanie Smith-Taylor joins us. Ms. Smith-Taylor, thank you so much for being on our show today.
Well, it's just exciting to be here. It's just my backyard, so.
Well, like you mentioned, it's just your backyard. You grew up in Germantown with a love for horses, with your parents owning a farm right here in Germantown. When did you know you wanted to compete in horse riding?
I think right from the moment I was born, my mother always said when I was tiny that she was so afraid I wouldn't ride because I didn't ride regularly until I was 2. And so, but I did. I grew up less than a mile from the road, from the show, and we used to ride our ponies down to the show even before the show began, and ride all around, and we'd get so excited waiting for the show to begin. And this was my very first competition. My first class in my whole career was the costume class, which is the first show of the evening last night. And it's fun now because we now sponsor the class, my sister and myself. It's the Rachel Smith, my mother's memorial costume class, and I just look forward to every year being a part of that.
Well, women have not always been able to participate in this ancient sport, so you yourself in many ways are a trailblazer. Do you see yourself in that way?
I like to think that I've possibly made a difference for some of the young women riders coming along behind me. And yes, the women were not allowed in the Olympics for quite a while. I'd have to go back and look up the exact year, but they were allowed in certain disciplines before they were allowed in the jumping discipline. And so it has been nice and there were always more men than women competing. For some reason, there were more women, more gals coming up in high school than boys. And even today in the junior divisions, under 18, there's more girls than boys. But then once they get into the professional aspect of it, after they get out of the junior divisions and it becomes a career, there's always more men. And I think that's because women have a family and it's just more difficult to have the time to devote to the sport, because as any sport and career, it's 24/7. It's 100% devotion, dedication.
Like you mentioned, you are a former competitor in the Germantown Charity Horse Show. How did participating in this show influence your love for the sport?
Well, I think it was just part of growing up. Showing at the Germantown Horse Show was just something you did. You looked forward to it all year. It was like your goal for the year. It's like later on, the Olympics were my goal, but the Germantown Horse Show was my goal as a child. Every year I looked so forward to showing and just being a part of the community. It's just so much fun. You see all your friends that you haven't seen for a long time. It's just fun to come up in the evenings and sit around and visit and run into old friends. So it's just it sort of catapulted me towards my career, because I think I got the competitive bug and really wanted to do more, and then graduated into doing more advanced classes at this horse show, and then I started showing throughout the Mid-South and then nationally and then internationally. So it definitely was the seed that really was planted that launched my career.
In 1979, you formed an amazing relationship with a horse named Calypso. You are the only rider who has won the American Gold Cup, the International Jumping Derby, and the Triple Crown of Show Jumping, all on the same horse. What was it about this relationship with Calypso that was so special?
Well, you know, there's just sometimes in life you just have a special bond with an animal, and I was the only person that ever jumped him, ever showed him, and I got him as a 4-year-old. We found him and my sponsors bought him for me, and I brought him up through the years, through the competitions. His horses really don't show at the highest level until they're 9 or 10 years old, so we just developed a strong connection, and he was just one of those great athletes. And I always say he was by a horse called Lucky Boy, a thoroughbred, and I always say he was a lucky boy and I was a lucky girl to have him.
As we know, you were part of the Olympic show jumping team that won America's first gold in the sport. That happened at the 1984 Los Angeles Olympics. Looking back on that experience, what stands out to you?
Well, the fact that you're able to actually accomplish a goal, to reach a goal, to just get chosen for the team is one accomplishment. And then to be able to go there and win for your country. I'll never forget standing on the podium when we were awarded the medals and hearing our national anthem. I mean, you just can't help but tear up and think about all the people. It makes me tear up now. Think about all the people in your life that helped you get there, because it's not, I feel like that medal was for my mother and father, my coaches, for so many people, because it takes, you know, the expression, it takes a village, it does. It takes a tremendous team of people, not just your supporters, but your veterinaries, your farriers, you know, just the people that take care of the animals. So it was an humbling experience in a way, and it just made me feel so good and appreciative of all the people that had helped me get there.
Well, Ms. Smith-Taylor, you retired from active competition in 1988, 4 years after that Olympic win. How have you stayed active within the equestrian community?
Well, I've been very fortunate because I've been to every Olympics since the one in which I competed. First, I had made the team in 1980 when we had the boycott, didn't go to Moscow when the Russians invaded Afghanistan. And then I was lucky enough to make the 84 team. And then after that, I was asked to do the television commentary. So I've been to all the Olympics since then as the color commentary for the equestrian events. So, and a lot of my peers, my contemporaries, I mean, are still competing, because this is a sport you can compete until an old age if you can still remember the courses. And so it was just really, I guess, really special to be a part of all of that. So, and then, so you're actually, so what was your question? What was the second part of your question?
Just how have you stayed active within the equestrian community?
And so I've stayed active after doing the commentary. Then I've also teach clinics around the country. I don't teach locally, but I teach, you know, aspiring Olympians and just young athletes, junior riders, amateur riders, any age. So I travel a lot teaching. I also judge horse shows, and I used to do a little course designing. And then I just enjoy life. I really have a great life. I enjoy a lot of travel. I attend a lot of the shows and around the world, and so I've stayed very active that way. I also still ride a little bit, but I mainly have retired horses on the farm.
In 2014, you released your own book called Riding with Life: Lessons from the Horse. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yes, it was very important for me to be able to share my life experiences. And after completing my career and retiring in around 1988, I came home and married the love of my life, Lee Taylor, who is also a great horseman. And together we really sort of revolutionized our training program through help from some great horsemen around the country over at Wildwood Farm. And it just made a huge change in our horses, and so I wanted to write those things down. So it's a culmination of the training program, things that have worked for me and worked for Lee and myself with our horses, and how those help. And then it's also the last part of the book is about the jumping and the exercises that I did in my career. So it's a book that really reaches out and can help anyone with any type of horse. It doesn't have to be a jumping horse. Things you can do on the ground to stay safe and get your horse connected with you and becoming your true partner.
Ms. Smith Taylor, thank you so much for joining us today, and we hope you enjoy the rest of the horse show.
Well, thanks. This was very fun.
Before we go, here's one last look at the Germantown Charity Horse Show.
We go to several horse shows each year. We've been doing that probably now for about 8 years with our farm. And Germantown is our favorite venue.
You know, when people, I think of this area and think of Tennessee, they think of Southern hospitality. We really try to give, people plenty of time to socialize and see their friends because, at the end of the day, not everybody's going to go home with the blue ribbon, but we try to make sure everybody goes home having a good time.
It's a very friendly environment here, and there are a lot of spectators, a lot of public comes by to visit, which is really nice. There's a lot for them to see.
When you go to other competitions, you're working for the first prize. Here, it doesn't matter if you win or if you lose. The most important thing is you're participating in the activity of getting money for the charities.
The charity brings so many different groups of people together, and there's amazing sponsors that the show has every single year that raises a ton of money for the community.
A lot of it is because the people on the Germantown Charity Board of Directors and in the association work hard to be a part of the community all year long, not just for the week of the horse show, but the things that they do to give back to the Exchange Club Family Center. Since their partnership with them, they've donated almost $500,000 to the Exchange Club Family Center. They help fund the renovations of the barn at the Bobby Lanier Farm Park. They participate in the Christmas parade. They participate in things around the community all year long. So this horse show not only happens, these 5 days, but they're involved in the community all year long, and the community definitely repays the favor during the week of the horse show by coming out and supporting it.
The Germantown Charity Horse Show has a long tradition of promoting equestrian sportsmanship and competition. For almost 70 years, friends and family have come out to the horse show to spend a fun afternoon cheering on their favorite horses and riders. I hope to see you next year for the 70th anniversary of the Germantown Charity Horse Show. I'm Maggie Lathem. From all of us here at GHS-TV, thank you for watching Crosstalk, and I hope to see you again soon.